You know, traders, one of the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing a lot of traders make, I speak to a lot of people on the phone, and one of the biggest mistakes that I made for so many years, I've been trading the markets now for 20 years, and one of the biggest mistakes that I made early on in my trading career, and the reason why I didn't really make any progress, every year was really not really not really building on top of every other year, was that I was always going too wide and not deep enough. And what I mean by that is that I was always going across, looking at 1,000 different systems, 1,000 different, well, you know what I mean, right? Like all these different things. It was fundamentals, it was Fibonacci's, it was Elliott waves, it was stochastics, it was RSI, it was, you know, all these, it was going wide. I never went deep into something. And it wasn't until that, you know, if you've been trading the markets now for say, probably 5 years or less than 5 years, you're probably there right now, right? Where you're learning a lot about a lot. And you're coming on YouTube videos like mine and you're learning a lot of stuff from there, right? And you're going down that path. But one of the really, really, really big things about the actual getting ahead in the markets is that I never gained traction until I went deep into something, like one approach, one person. So this is what I say for you guys. 2024 is coming up, finishing up real soon. 2025 is going to be here real soon. I want to encourage you to find one person. If it's me, go deep in the stuff that I teach. Real deep. Just go deep into one thing, right? If it's someone else, go become part of their programs and learn everything about what they do, right? Because like with me, what I do is for me, my whole coaching program myself, which is, there's a link in the description there, but the whole thing about my coaching program is to take what's taken me 20 years to figure out and give you in, say, in a 12-month process. Right? And that's about like, how do I trade only half an hour? Because for me, I only trade half an hour per day. That's all I trade. Meaning, that's all the trading I do every day. Looking for opportunities and so on and so forth. You know, and so I teach people how I actually do that. But the thing about what I see with you guys, right, is to become a master at one thing, right? The most successful people that I find within the actual trading itself, okay? The most successful people I find is that they become such good at their trading setup, right? They're not a generalized thing. And that's what I'm seeing right now, right? That's what I'm seeing right now across the board when it comes to people who are trading the markets and who they're very thin across the board, right? They're not really going deep. And I remember then one of the biggest things that I learned from my mentor early on was this is when everything was going to crap for me. You know, everything was going to shit for me. I was $250,000 in debt, just going backwards, you know, and just not good at all. And my mentor said, John, see, the thing about you, right? Yeah. Right. The thing about you is that no wonder you're not getting ahead in life. You have no plan of attack. He said, so when you go to the markets, you're just like open for anything, right? Open for anything. Oh, this looks like a good idea. This looks like a good idea. Right, you're open for anything. And because there is no foundational trading plan, trading setup that you're looking for, that you approach, then what ends up happening is this. You end up going through there, and a lot of the times you're on the whim of just the idea, right? There's a thought and so on and so forth. And therefore you end up going down the wrong path. It wasn't until my mentor said, John, the reason why I'm successful, the reason why I make 7 figures a year, he said, because I'm only looking for a handful of, well, actually it's a couple of, well, actually really, it's really one really main type of setup that I'm looking for. He said, because when that setup comes around, he said it has a massively high win-loss ratio. He said, especially when an A quality setup comes around, I'm happy to do a $50,000 or $100,000 trade and hold on to it for a little bit. You know, one of my most successful trades that my mentor's taken, you know, he made $500,000 in one trade. And the whole thing is like, but how do you gain the confidence to eventually get to that point? You might not be there right now, but if you ever want to be there in 12 months time frame, 2 years time frame, where you have the confidence to do a $50,000 trade, where you're looking to make maybe a couple of $100,000 in profit, how do you eventually get to that point? You don't eventually get to that point by just doing a lot, right? You get to that point by going deep into something. And when you go deep into something, deep into a strategy, and you become so good at that one strategy, the smallest little details about the setups, And after a period of time, this is the reason why I spend 12 months with my coaching clients, because I get them to a point where they can really start to identify the smallest little details and really pinpoint these amazing setups, that when these setups do come around, you're the person that is now getting lucky, right? Because now you have the preparation meets opportunity, right? So this is the whole thing for you guys, and that's what I want for you. I want you to have an amazing 2025 year, right? I want you to have an amazing 2025 year, and you can, okay? But the whole thing about you and your trading is that for you to become good at trading, you got to start to master the art of one approach, right? Because there's so many different approaches out there. There's so many different, strategies and so on, things you can do. But the only way that I'll be able to get any traction on the positive side. And if you'd like to see my actual real equity curve, like does this guy even trade? Go to getjohnshelp.com. There should be that link in the description there. Go over there right now. It's an application for my coaching program. I actually show you my real equity curve, so you can see that I actually trade the markets, okay? The only way that I'll ever be able to go from spending years and years and years losing money to then actually start to tilt it into the positive territory was start to become really good at one approach, and really, 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 really good at that one approach. Therefore, I had a bit more consistency behind me, you know what I mean? And that consistency behind me then started tipping it in the right direction. Now that takes a bit of time, right? Firstly, it's about, with my coaching program, it's about giving you the education, the training, the checklist, the workbook manuals, stuff like that. And it's all geared around what exactly am I looking for? Not just general education. And then I'm there for you. Then I'm there with you for a whole 12 months, holding your hand through. Oh, you got into the wrong trade here, or you got out too fast here, or you should have cut your losses here. Let your profits run. Emotional control, so on and so forth, right? Then all those other things go involved with it. But I didn't gain any positive traction on the positive territory and stay there until I started to really hone down and spend most of my waking hours focusing on becoming so good at one approach and one trading strategy and one trading setup and one trading pattern. Because what happened is, as the years went on, when I started to identify these setups, I was ready for them, and they're the things that end up taking my account and start to make me a lot of money from there, right? Because the nature of the beast through trading, and you guys have probably realized this yourself, well, you listen to any successful trader, they say the same thing, is through your 12 months, you're going to have months that are quiet and months that are active, right? You're going to have maybe a small profit a month, and I have found that I've had maybe 30 to 40% of the months throughout the entire year are really big profitable years that really, you'll be able to see in my equity curve, you'll be able to see the same thing. And then some months are quiet and so on and so forth. So when we go through one of those active periods where there's some amazing trades, we want to be ready for them, right? But how do you get ready for them? The step number one is learning the art of identifying a good setup. And now, that depends on who you follow. If you like what I do, then go deep into stuff, apply for my coaching program. If there's any spots available, because I'm about to close it down. But, go deep into someone that you believe in and become so good at one approach, not 1,000 approaches or a thinking trade. I think. A thinking trade is like, there's war in Ukraine, so I think gold's going to go up. That's a thinking trade. This is the trading pattern I trade every single day. See the differences? So if you actually want to be professional in the markets, go deep into something, because I spent so many years and so much money losing it. And then when I started to focus, and it's not easy, right? I get it. But when I started to switch it more into the positive territory, the only way that I'll be able to go from losing a lot of money every year, here we go, to then switching into the positive territory, and then to where I am right now after 20 years of doing this, was becoming so good at one approach. So stick to one, become a master at one trading approach, and I promise you, you will become part of the 1%.